called The Buddy Bench by Pat Frasco. This book is here for the board to be able to review. Students in this book, it's about a classroom. Students see other children not feeling very well, feeling left out, feeling left behind, and they decide to work together to build a bench where they can all sit. And if someone feels lonely or left out, they can sit on the buddy bench. It's a really great story, a really great opportunity to showcase working together and being part of a community and what that means. So as we go through this evening, just take a look at that. Lastly, this is American Education Week, as Dr. Becker noted, as some others have noted. About 103 years ago, the NEA, National Education Association, and the American Legion worked together to recognize teachers who are out there in public education, providing an education for our students and in our communities. I would like to recognize the teachers for the work that they do each and every day with students who are not theirs and students that come to them. Any student that shows up on our doorstep is taught by these educators, is provided for by these classroom teachers, and that is a tremendous thing. I'd also like to recognize the parents of this community. The parents of the community, for they place a trust in us as partners in their children's education. So they are part of this Education Week as well. And lastly, I'd like to recognize our student body, specifically because they are the reason that we are here. I thank you all who work for the best interest of our students, and today and this week, we celebrate and honor you for this work. And that concludes my report.
All right, this is a question that I have for you, Dr. Menzel, you, Brian Lawyer, myself, and technically your firm. What if we go through all this with ACTI and Biglerville decides, after we've done it all, I think Biglerville is not it, they went in after we put $10 million in. How do we sit? How do we take care of it?
So, great question. We actually advise on the Cumberland Perry project that is starting there as well, and that project involved revisions to the articles of agreement to the entity, right? So for ACTI, you should have articles of agreement that the Senate school districts put together, right? Those articles of agreement should have provisions in them. Now, I haven't read them, but they should have provisions in them with respect to districts joining, but also districts pulling out, so that debt and all that stuff can be allocated.
Yeah, I remember when we did it, but I don't think we had taught, at that time it was so early in the process that we hadn't thought about building. So I'm wondering, I mean, if we lay $10 million out, somebody, Johnny comes home lately and says, hey, I'm going into your program, you got 20 programs, I'm tired of busting an hour and a half up the road to Mechanicsburg. Why don't you just let me in? I can pay my portion.
Then I would advise the JOC call Dan Atherton or whoever your solicitor is at the time and say we need to amend our articles of agreement to properly address someone coming in.
So I think that actually falls under me and my part.
I didn't want to say that, but I believe it.
That's all right. Call me out. I got that last question.
Good question. So I was under the impression that we don't have land, we don't have buildings, we don't have anything, but we're coming up with these estimated costs. How are you doing that?
There's a feasibility study that was completed for a building project, bless you, and that was done about 2 years ago. We have that.
You're basing these costs on 2 years ago?
We have that information available, and at the present time, that's the best that we have. That is something that we're working toward as a group of
And this
districts.
is adding more than just the seven.
Oh, that's
Correct,
yes,
correct. That's right.
Ultimate goal.
Expanding programs.
That's the ultimate goal.
Correct.
Now, since you've been, there's two boards now. There's a board that governs the school itself, and then there's the board that governs the money.
Correct.
And then for school districts that said they want to out.
They would like to get their property back.
There's nothing has been enforced yet at all.
There's no legal thing that you have to be out in such and such.
No, they just expressed the desire to say, it's time to go in your
Use
hands
that
out of
building
that.
for their own
But
purpose.
they haven't said by 2027.
No, and they've been very cooperative about it, but yes, you know, it's a sword hanging over your head, eventually it's gonna.
So Carl, so it takes a little longer than we thought, we are not going to be put out the street then.
Right. They just want it back.
So is everything on hold until they come up with a new, so they replace Sean, or
No,
is
no.
Sean still working?
Sean is working on it, we are working on full
And
force.
when he met with us, he told me about getting government money, but after that.
Couldn't do anything until last month when I was the neighbors, because we had to get the board active, it has to be active 70 days before I could sign an EIN number, and then once I had an EIN number, then he could then petition, to get funds, but you can't say, hey, give me funds for something that you don't have, so you sort of have to have some contracts in place for land, and once you have land, the ball, it's one of those things, as soon as the land gets on there, that snowball is gonna be this big, and it's gonna be as big as this room in about a couple of weeks, because everybody can jump on.
So the figures that we're giving are worst case scenario. We can get government money and everything else, would be significantly less.
Yes. I mean, like the government gave, I don't know, $74,000 for a fire truck. The federal government gave for a local fire truck recently when I was looking. So if they can give $75,000 for a local fire truck, I'm sure we can get something out of it. And, you know, everybody from the state, since we're the last county to have a tech program, they're big on it. They're big on the federal government's big on taking care of it, so they all realize it, so they're all looking forward to helping us all. So,
In terms of getting promoted, is it superintendent that's expressed that? Is that
just the school board has basically said, yeah, you know.
Yeah, it's a building that's there for, that they get their students. At some point, they're going to come back.
That's their business. It's their business. But it's sort of like you've got that one child that just won't leave the nest. Well, if you don't give some incentives, then they stay at house, you know, and we're getting some good things because of it, but it's not gonna, nothing's gonna happen until we get everything done.
We're not gonna find
Yeah,
Dayton's also that?
Gettysburg is part of those articles of agreement.
yeah.
They are a district that's part of it, so there's nothing to say that they're not
So
going to.
they won't need the 7 there and we do the rest of them somewhere else.
The idea is one closely central location for all. So that we can, and we're still keeping Biglerville, hopefully that we can, so that we can reduce everything by 1/5. So there's our goal. The ultimate goal is what we've been set out for 8 years now. Okay. I'd like to also echo your teacher appreciation one more time. Thank you. So, does anybody have any other questions for the superintendent? Hearing none. FMX reports are noted. Does anybody have a problem with those? Questions? And monthly rolling report. New business. Does anybody have anything for new business for next month?
Well, I have a question, so you guys didn't do a retreat and come up with your goals for the summer, or is that something you plan on doing?
We plan on working together very soon for the board professional development training.
Why do you do that?
Professional support, I say that.
But that we're not gonna work on goals, the goals are just staying.
We can revisit those over the summer.
Anybody else have anything else? Thank you. Make a comment. Thank you.
We're acknowledging.
You know, my wife barks at me because I don't thank people. All right. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. That was Brian Lyle, Brian Boyer, and Nick Lovell. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right.
Have a good evening.
Have a lovely night.
I probably can't do it otherwise.
Thank you. But I just thought, since you were here,